Most people think their biggest problem is lack of money, lack of opportunity, or bad luck. But according to The Mountain Is You, the real obstacle is often self-sabotage. We procrastinate, overthink, avoid change, and repeat painful patterns without realizing it. This book explains why we destroy our own progress and how to finally break free. By the end of this video, you will understand how to turn your pain into power and become the person you were meant to be. You will realize that your greatest enemy and your greatest opportunity are often the same person staring back at you in the mirror. Have you ever promised yourself you would change, only to fall back into old habits days later? Maybe you wanted to get healthier, start a business, or leave a toxic relationship. Yet something inside kept pulling you backward. Brianna Wiest explains that self-sabotage is not laziness. It is usually a coping mechanism created by unresolved emotional needs and fears buried deep inside us. The behaviors frustrating you today may once have protected you emotionally in the past. Every action you repeat is serving a hidden emotional purpose. Some people procrastinate because they fear failure. Others stay in unhealthy situations because pain feels familiar and safe. Even anxiety can become addictive because chaos feels normal after years of emotional survival mode. Until you understand the emotional root of your behavior, lasting change becomes almost impossible. You cannot heal patterns you refuse to acknowledge, honestly. The book explains that many destructive behaviors begin in childhood. When emotional needs are ignored, people unconsciously create survival strategies. Maybe you learned that love must be earned through perfection. Maybe you learned to avoid risks because mistakes led to criticism. These beliefs slowly become invisible rules that shape your adult life. Without realizing it, many adults are still reacting emotionally from wounds created years ago. Many people believe achieving their goals will finally make them feel worthy. They chase money, status, relationships, and validation, hoping to escape inner pain. But unresolved emotions do not disappear with external success. In fact, success often exposes emotional wounds even more clearly. This is why some people achieve everything and still feel empty inside. External achievement means very little when internal peace is missing. The moment you become conscious of your self-sabotaging patterns, you begin taking your power back. Most people live on autopilot, reacting emotionally without questioning themselves. But awareness creates a space between emotion and action. That space gives you the ability to choose differently. Transformation begins the moment you stop running from yourself. Self-awareness is uncomfortable at first, but it becomes one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. Brianna Wiest explains that real growth is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront truths you avoided for years. You must stop blaming other people for every problem in your life. You must examine your fears, insecurities, and emotional triggers with brutal honesty. This process feels painful at first because the ego wants to protect old identities, but honesty is the beginning of freedom. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment your transformation truly starts. Many people confuse familiarity with safety. Even painful routines can feel comforting because they are predictable. The unknown feels terrifying because it forces growth and uncertainty. But every meaningful transformation begins when you stop choosing temporary comfort over long-term fulfillment. Your future depends on what you are willing to leave behind. Growth demands courage, especially when comfort has become an addiction. The book explains that suppressed emotions do not disappear. They remain trapped inside the body and influence thoughts, decisions, and behavior. Many people distract themselves constantly because they fear feeling pain. But healing happens when you finally allow yourself to process emotions instead of escaping them. Sometimes growth begins with simply sitting alone and telling yourself the truth. Emotional strength is not about suppressing feelings. It is about learning how to process them in a healthy way. Motivation is temporary, but discipline builds identity. Every small promise you keep to yourself strengthens confidence from within. Waking up early, exercising, journaling, or working consistently may seem simple, but these habits rebuild trust in yourself. Over time, discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like self-love. The strongest people are not always the most talented, they are often the most consistent. Growth changes your standards, your priorities, and your energy. Some relationships are built around old versions of yourself. When you begin healing, certain people may resist your transformation because it challenges their comfort. Brianna Wiest reminds readers that losing unhealthy connections is often part of becoming whole. Sometimes growth requires distance from what once felt familiar. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary for survival and progress. Most people avoid action because they fear embarrassment or rejection. But failure is often the fastest teacher in life. Every mistake reveals weaknesses, blind spots, and opportunities for improvement. The people who succeed are not fearless. They simply decide that growth matters more than comfort. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than most people are willing to try. Inner peace does not appear overnight. It is created through daily choices, emotional awareness, and healthy boundaries. The book explains that people often search for peace externally through distractions and validation. But true peace comes from learning how to regulate your inner world. Once you control your mind, external chaos loses its power over you. Peace is built internally long before it appears externally. Transformation is rarely dramatic in the beginning. It happens quietly through tiny habits repeated consistently over time. Drinking water, reading daily, sleeping earlier, and limiting negativity may seem insignificant, but small actions compound into massive life changes. Your future is built by what you repeatedly do today. Tiny disciplines repeated daily create extraordinary results over the years. Many people hold on to identities, relationships, and memories that no longer serve them. They fear emptiness because emptiness feels uncertain. But growth requires creating room for something new. You cannot build a new life while clinging tightly to the old one. Sometimes letting go is the bravest decision you can make. What leaves your life often creates room for something healthier to enter. Negative emotions are not always enemies. Anxiety, anger, sadness, and frustration often reveal unmet needs or misaligned choices. Instead of numbing emotions, the book encourages readers to listen carefully to them. Emotions become dangerous when ignored, not when understood. Awareness turns emotional pain into wisdom. The emotions you avoid today often become the problems you face tomorrow. Many people believe confidence is something lucky people naturally possess, but confidence grows through repeated action despite fear. Every difficult conversation, challenge, and uncomfortable decision strengthens inner resilience. You become confident by proving to yourself that you can survive discomfort. Confidence is earned through experience. Every brave action becomes evidence that you are stronger than your fears. Comparison destroys progress because it shifts focus away from your own growth. Social media often shows highlights instead of reality. People compare their behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's polished success. Brianna Wiest reminds readers that healing and transformation happen at different speeds for everyone. Your path does not need to look like anyone's. Real growth happens when you focus on becoming better than your past self instead of competing with strangers online. Many people stay stuck because they never define what they truly want. They follow expectations instead of personal truth. But clarity creates momentum. The moment you decide what kind of life you genuinely want, your actions begin aligning with that vision. A clear mind creates powerful decisions. Direction matters far more than moving quickly without purpose. Modern life constantly fights for your attention. Notifications, entertainment, and endless distractions keep people mentally exhausted. The book explains that deep transformation requires intentional focus. When you control your attention, you regain control of your life. Energy flows where attention goes. The people who master focus gain a massive advantage in a distracted world. Growth often feels lonely because you are leaving old habits and identities behind. There will be moments when you question yourself and want to quit. But every meaningful transformation requires discomfort. The mountain becomes steeper before you reach the top. Pain is not proof you are failing. Sometimes it is proof you are evolving. The hardest seasons of life often produce the strongest versions of ourselves. The person you are today is not fixed forever. Human beings can change their habits, beliefs, and emotional patterns with enough awareness and effort. The book emphasizes that healing is not becoming someone new. It is returning to the strongest and most authentic version of yourself. Your potential has always existed within you. The version of yourself you dream about is built through the choices you make every single day. Every struggle, heartbreak, failure, and setback shaped your resilience. Pain can either destroy you or transform you depending on how you respond to it. Brianna Wiest teaches that the obstacles in your life are not punishments. They are opportunities to become stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. The mountain is not there to stop you. It is there to teach you who you can become. One day, the struggles you hate today may become the reason you become unstoppable tomorrow. If this video helped you see yourself differently, remember that awareness is the first step toward change. Real growth happens when you stop avoiding your inner battles and start facing them directly. Comment below with the biggest lesson you learned from this video and what mountain you are determined to overcome. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more life-changing book summaries and self-improvement content. Share this video with someone who needs encouragement right now, because one powerful message can completely change a person's direction in life. Your best future is waiting on the other side of the mountain.